Steve said, we're going to be taking a look at this entire chapter of the book of Hebrews, chapter 7 here today. But when I was a kid, I'd spent a lot of time during the summers, especially with my cousins at their house, mostly because they had a pool. And we'd spent a lot of time swimming together. And they had one of these big circular kind of above-ground pools with the deep end in the center. You know, the ones I'm kind of talking about? It's all kind of shallow on the outside with the deep end in the center. And I got to confess that I was deathly afraid of the deep end. I was deathly afraid to go in the middle of that, to the point where my cousins, I mean, they would make fun of me about it. They would tease me about it. They still tease me to this day. My cousins, I had two older cousins, Alana and Alicia, and they were like the older sisters that I didn't have and didn't want. But I love them. I love my cousins very much. And but they would tease me. They would tease me relentlessly about that until one day I decided to venture on into the middle, into the deep end, and I found that I could just barely touch the bottom with my tiptoes, and so that made me a little less afraid, but I would, continue to spend a good chunk of my time around the edges of that pool, and until one day I finally got tall enough, I grew up, and the fear of the deep end kind of went away less and less as I grew, as I matured, and eventually that fear obviously went away. But that said, today as we enter into this text of Scripture and this study through the book of Hebrews, we are going into the deep end today, folks. We are going into the deep end. Chapter 7, and I'm going to argue actually going on into the next few chapters of Hebrews is immensely deep. And it's going to seem a lot deeper to you with the less context.